Hello and welcome back to the Hardworking Man podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Heath. And we're going to start this episode off with a little brag. And I think it's a pretty cool one because it sort of fits the channel.
Right.
So our son Nate, he's our third oldest. And he's on the wrestling team. We've talked about it. They just had their year-end banquet.
Just a little bit.
He won one of 3 awards that they gave out. They gave out an MVP award that went to one of our friends' kids who is a sophomore and has lost 3 times in his high school career. 2 of them, unfortunately, being the state championship match. Once last year and once this year. The kid's going to get one, but he hasn't yet. And one of the other awards was the hardest worker, which, I mean, how could the hardworking man's son not get it? Nate got hardest worker award. They said he's not only the hardest worker on the team, but he's the smartest kid on the team. So, I mean, we must be doing something right.
Right. Just a humble brag here.
I'm more proud of the hardest worker than I am the smartest kid on the team because,
gosh.
I mean, we all know I have great genetics. Rachel has pretty decent genetics. But the hard work is something you teach your kids. So here at Hardworking Man, we teach our kids how to work hard. So that's awesome.
Yes, hardest worker in the room. And from what I hear, nobody wants to wrestle him at practice because he just goes hard, goes 100%. In fact, one of the coaches had to step in and wrestle with him. And I messaged his wife that night because Nate came home and was like, finally, I had a partner that kept up with me. And so I messaged his wife and I was like, Nate loved having you. And she's like, oh my gosh, he is dead.
He's so sore.
He regrets wrestling. Nathan just goes 110%.
He doesn't stop.
And
He'll have an
pushed him.
asthma attack and just battle through it and just won't stop because he's like, how am I going to get stronger if I quit? So
Right.
I love it. The kid's going to go to Ford Field. He's going to the state championships next year. And he says he's going to win it all. So we'll see because that's not easy at any level.
No, so that is fun. So now we're done with that. Wrestling season's over. In fact, this week I'm like checking the calendar going, what do we have? What's going on? Like, we don't have somewhere we have to be tonight. Like, what is this?
Right. Outside of the kids doing their own workouts, they each wake up before school, come down, do a workout. Then Nate, when he gets home from school, a lot of times he does another workout. Other than that, right now, there's a little, 2 baseball practices a week for Zach?
Yeah.
This is probably the slowest time of the year for us.
We're in a little lull. I mean, Joe's baseball started, so our college son's baseball started, but that's 2 hours away. So if it's during the week, it's really hard to try to get there.
But with Joe, the only thing we have to worry about is making games. We don't have to take him to practice. We don't have to deal with practice.
We just show up. And
if it's an away game, we probably can't make it, but we try to make as many home games as we
we've been to a lot of
can.
away games. Well, not both of us.
She made it to some when I'm working like Notre Dame and different places, but he's a pitcher only this year, so he's focusing just on pitching. He's their number 1 pitcher. He's their starting pitcher. So we only have to try to make the games that he's going to start in because other than maybe coming in to also close a game occasionally in a league game that's close, they'll bring him in to shut it down. He's probably only going to pitch when he's the starter, so we don't have to worry about him coming in as relief or coming in maybe in the field. So we can limit what games we have to try to get to. Even though they're all fun to watch, we're not driving 2 hours to watch other people's kids.
No.
We drive enough. We watch enough sports. We don't need to watch extra.
I mean, we don't have a high school baseball player this year, so that's why we're not starting. Otherwise, like next year when Zach's doing high school, we'll be in it again. There'll be practices and all of that.
Nate's doing golf, but they've all been canceled due to weather because winter's back here in Michigan.
Yes.
And we don't have to go to golf practices.
No, we don't have to do any of that. We don't have to run anybody. So it just feels weird.
We don't even really go watch golf.
To check, no.
It's like an off season for us. We just ask him how he did when he gets home.
We just have, baseball's going to kick in, and then we are going to literally be living at the baseball field, traveling for all of Zach's tournaments, which we get to go to Nashville this year. That's kind of exciting.
And we're going on spring break. We're going to go down to Florida. Rachel's dream. The kids love that stuff. It's not for me, man. I'd rather go to Alaska or I'd rather go to someplace in the mountains. Beaches, hot weather, sand, swimming, not my thing. But they love it, so I'm gonna go with them.
I'm really wondering why I'm taking you along at this point. Well, we just had to pause there for a minute because our kids were wondering why the stovetop was on and no one's in the kitchen and nothing is cooking. Who left the stove on?
I mean, it was me. About probably 30 or 45 minutes ago, I was going to make some brats. So I put a pan on and I turned the stove on, and then how life works when you're me, is I started doing something else.
Yeah, it took him like 5 minutes to realize it was him even.
I thought I blamed Nate because he made some cookies the other night when he couldn't sleep, and I thought he meant the oven. And I'm like, you're the last one that used the oven. It's been on since last night. He's like, no, the stove.
It has not.
I'm like, no one's used the stove. Well, I mean, I guess that was true because I didn't use it. I just got it ready to make bratwurst, and I never made them.
Which he wants to go out for dinner. There's a new Mexican restaurant in town, so we're going to go try it out, I think.
But that's how my life works, man. I start something, and I see something else, and I start doing something else. So maybe one day I'll burn the house down, and if I do, you'll know I was probably going to have a sweet dinner.
I can't believe you did. I can't believe you did that.
I don't get it. There's nothing I can do about it either. It is what it is.
Okay, but here's the funny thing to me. You self-proclaimed diagnosed yourself. Like, we pretty much know you have.
I mean, I don't really have to diagnose myself.
You have
literally
ADHD, okay?
Can't do one thing to completion ever.
Who else has ADHD in this house? Nathan.
My boy.
Right? So, why then, when I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a lot of patience for Heath's ADHD.
Not much at all.
No.
She should have a lot, knowing that there's nothing I can do about it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're not allowed.
That is my point. You just made my point for you.
You're not allowed to get upset with me over it.
Then why do I get text messages from you about your lack of patience to your son for something he just can't do anything about?
It's double ADHD.
He just
you can't hold that against me.
That is my
double
point. You made it. The things that like bother you so much about the kid with the ADHD are your things you do to me.
Because it's double ADHD.
And that's okay.
It's like
I have to give you all sorts of grace and like treat you like I'm a kindergarten teacher just teaching the class
This
here.
isn't what this is about.
Yes, it's just funny because you literally made the point. I can't help it. I can't. Why does Nate do that?
He still has a chance. He's young.
Because he has ADHD, honey.
He's young. He has a chance. He has a fighting chance. I'm stuck at how I am.
I like that. Yeah. So, no, it's very hard. I feel like you need to do things to like help yourself because
I do. I put alarms in my phone, but I can't.
Since when?
I watch people make this is real. People make TikToks and they make reels and stuff like what it's like to be me or to be Nate. Like you literally go to do something and you start do it. You put a pan on. I did two things. I put a pan on the stove and I turned the stove on. I didn't even make it as far as to get the bratwurst out of the freezer because on the way to the freezer, I saw something else. So then I'm like, oh, we got to do a podcast. So I started setting that up, and then I'll see something else. I moved the jacket out of the way that I used to go out to the outdoor wood burner. So then I'm like, ooh, I got to go check the wood boiler. So I go out there and I check that. And then I'm out there and I see the wagon. And then I'm like, oh, I left the four-wheeler out. I got to go put the four-wheeler away. So this is how it happens. So I get a few things done that I started a day or two ago. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to burn the house down with the stove, and I still haven't got dinner. Because I thought we'll go out to the new Mexican restaurant. So Brat's already left the building. Bratwursts are gone.
Right. So I just want to remind you that next time you would come in and be like, who left the stove on? And you would not have any sort of grace for that.
I mean, the problem is I already forget about it because I'm on to the next thing. So I can't even remember that you already lectured me on this.
Lecture. Right. Because I'm your mother.
But one thing we wanted to talk about today was if you guys watch Hardworking Man, if you guys check out our channel, if you don't, you should, because now our podcasts are only on Hardworking Man podcast. All of our regular videos are on Hardworking Man. And I love Facebook Marketplace finds.
Oh, yes.
They're not easy. People are like, how do you get all the deals you do? They don't come without headache. And I had probably...
He had the best day. The
worst day of my life. Top 5. Not really.
He's so dramatic.
It was the top 5 worst day of this year. Easily. The other day with a Facebook Marketplace deal.
Our daughter was in town, and we kept making fun of him, saying it's like that book.
That made it even worse.
Alexander and the horrible, no good, very bad day. Like that was Heath that day.
No, but check this out. I don't get a lot of days off work. I mean, I get a fair amount of days off work, but when I have days off work, I'm scheduled to work because we have the YouTube channel, we have the firewood business, we have everything going on. So my days off, I work more on my days off than I do on my days on. So when I have days off, they're valuable to me. They mean a lot. So I found something on Marketplace. I'm not going to say what it is or what it was because I'm still in the hunt for one.
Because you didn't get it.
So I contacted this guy. And to me, my word means something to me. I've sold stuff on Marketplace, and I've literally had it where I put something for sale, and somebody's like, hey, I'm interested. I'd like to buy it. If it is what you say it is, I'll buy it when I get out of work tonight. And I'm like, okay, you're the first person to contact me. You can come check it out. And then I've had people say, hey, I'll give you $1,000 more right now. I have the cash. I'll come pick it up. No, I already gave somebody my word. It's theirs. If they don't want it, you're next because you offered me an extra $1,000. But I'm not going to sell it out from under somebody. My word means something. And unfortunately, that doesn't mean a lot to people these days. Like, I've driven an hour, 2, 3, I think one time to buy something when I said I'm on my way. I've got the cash. I'm coming to buy it. And I get there, and they're like, I just sold it 20 minutes ago. And I'm like, you what? Like, you knew I was coming. Yeah, but this guy got here before you. Like, that drives me crazy. Like, their word meant nothing because they knew I was coming. They said I could come. They said I could buy it. And then I get there, and I can't. But what happened the other day wasn't even that. It was nothing I've ever experienced before. So it was an item I contacted a guy a couple weeks ago about, and I was like, hey, I'm interested. This is what I'm looking for. I've been looking for a while. What's your best price? He gives me his best price. I'm like, all right. Me, I'm still going to show up and try to get a little bit more off, but I know his best price, and I'm willing to pay it if it is what he says it is. So I'm like, all right. I said, I can come out on Sunday. He's like, what about Friday? I said, I can't come Friday. I have other obligations. How about Saturday? I said, nope. I said, I can come Sunday, but I'm telling you I'll buy it. So then he's like, all right, let me know Sunday. So Sunday morning I'm messaging him. I'm like, hey, I'm ready to come out. I got the cash. Let me know. And I hear nothing from him. I see that he read my message. No reply. Later that day, I'm like, hey, I said, I'm ready. Like, you said I could come out today. What's going on? Can I come buy it? And I see that he read that message because on Messenger, you can see when someone reads your message, no reply. I message him another time. Is this still for sale? Is this still available? He reads it, no reply. So now I'm thinking, all right, he has someone else coming out. And if they don't buy it, he's going to tell me, oh, come out or whatever, And then I hear nothing from the guy for like a couple days. And then it's still posted for sale. So I message him again. And he says, oh, sorry, I was in the hospital for 2 days. I'm like, hey, sorry to hear that,
That happens on Marketplace
all
the time.
Oh, sorry, my
grandma died.
I got in a car crash and my house burned down and whatever. People have a million
make stuff
excuses.
up all the time.
I'm like, was he really in the hospital? I don't know. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But anyways, I'm like, well, I'm still interested. I still want it. There was another one of this same thing that was further away. That wasn't quite as nice. It was an older model that I could have gone and bought. But this one was a little closer. It was the newer models. And it was a little bit more money. But I was like, I'll hold out for it. So he says, all right, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. I was in the hospital for a week for COVID. So I'm like, okay. He actually called me because I gave him my phone number. I'm like, if texting or calling works better, just call me. So he calls me. I talk to this guy. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you. My word means something to me. Like, it's important to mean what you say and all this stuff. And I don't like to ignore people and whatever. But he had a rough week. So I'm like, fair enough. So we set up another time. I said, I'm coming from an hour and a half away. It was in Canada. I'm coming from the States. So I'll grab the money out of the bank Monday morning. I'll go to currency exchange. I'll exchange it over, which there's a fee for that. And I'll meet you there at this time in the morning. So I do all that. I get up early. I get to the bank. I'm waiting there for the bank doors to open. They open. I go in, get my money, go to the currency exchange my money, pay the exchange fee, drive an hour and a half into Canada. I get there, and the guy's sitting in this truck on his phone texting people. And so I just knock. I'm like, hey, I'm here. And he's like, hold on, I'm texting people. So then I go sit in my truck for another 10 minutes while he's texting people.
Who's he texting?
And he gets out. We go back. We check it out. The pictures he had on Marketplace weren't the pictures of the item. It was the older model, the one I could have bought for less money from another person with more options. He's like, oh, I just used the pictures off from the website. So he just used photos from a dealership site of a newer model of the item. And I'm like, you know what, whatever. It's still not a deal breaker. The other one sold literally the day before, so I could no longer buy that one. It had a couple issues with it that he didn't list or didn't mention. And so I tried to get him down a couple $100 more, and he was like, nope, the price I told you is the price it is. And I was like, you know what, whatever, man. I have burned up my part of my day. I'll take it. All right, he says, are you in the area a lot? I said, no, you know I came from an hour and a half. Why? He goes, I'm not sure I want to sell it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, come back tomorrow. I said, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I had 2 days off this week. This was one of them. He's like, come back tomorrow. Let me sleep on it. I said, we agreed on a price. I agreed to give you that price. You know I came from an hour and a half away. I already paid to exchange my currency. I said, are you going to sell me this thing or not? And he goes, oh, I'm probably going to sell it to you, but I just want to think about it, so just come back tomorrow. I said, I'm not coming back tomorrow. And he says, oh, yes, you are. Like, no, I'm not, guy. So I said, so you're seriously not going to sell this to me? And he's like, well, I didn't say that. He goes, you know what? Let me hold your money, and I'll let you know tomorrow. I said, are you crazy? Like, what is wrong with you? You want me to give you my money while you decide if you want to sell me an item you already agreed to sell me. I offered you the full price you offered it to me for, and you want me to now drive an hour and a half back home and then come back tomorrow in case you want to sell it? Like, so I was pretty upset at this point because he burned up my day, cost me a few $100s that it's going to cost me to get my money back into America. Like, I wasn't happy, but I held my cool pretty good. Like, I was like, are you serious right now? You got to be kidding me. You're not going to sell this to me. Well, I didn't say that. Come back tomorrow. I said, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I'm never coming back. I got in my car and I left. I wasn't happy at all. I didn't curse the guy out. I didn't yell at him.
He reserved that for the text messages he
I was
sent
like,
me.
I was mad. I was hot. I just burned up half a day, a few $100s, not to mention the gas.
Let me just tell y'all, he was home before noon. So his burn up wasted his whole day.
I got up at 7 in the morning preparing for this.
Yeah.
Like, I was excited.
Anyway,
so I messaged this guy and I'm like, hey, thanks a lot for screwing me over. And he goes, I didn't screw over anybody. I know you Americans. He says, you Americans are hot-headed and have a temper and are extremely violent.
lack self-control.
Lack self-control and are often extremely violent. I'm like, what? Wow.
I literally read that and I went, what did you say to
I
this
didn't
guy?
say anything. Like,
I was
nothing
like, whoa.
uncalled for, nothing even borderline questionable.
I have witnessed Heath. I thought he was going to kill a lady at a McDonald's drive-thru one time.
Don't cut me off when I'm hangry. Hangry's a real thing.
She cut him off, and she sat there on her phone reading her list.
I was sleep deprived and hangry. He
about took his truck and jammed her.
I was mad that day.
I was like,
I'd already been in line for a while, and she comes into the back side and cuts in front.
I was like, what did you do to this guy that he's saying that?
Literally nothing that warranted anything. But that was probably my worst buy. Who puts something for sale they ain't going to sell?
Yeah, I don't know. So then it just turned into the worst day
ever, because then something else happened.
Top 10 or something.
Like, just to get my American money back, $284 gone. Like, I did nothing but burn up a day and put money in a fire pit.
Burn up a day. He was home before noon, and
no, I burned up the day because I was so mad I couldn't do nothing.
Megan is like, nobody died. Like, it's not like somebody like
my
murdered
dreams, my hopes
your
and
family.
dreams died. Like, my hopes and dreams died that day.
You come home to like your family decapitated. Like, that could be the worst day
The
ever.
plan was in action. I was excited for a new item. The dopamine fix was within my grasp.
That's what it was.
It got stripped away from me.
Dopamine fix was stripped right away.
To back that up, a few days later, there was something else I wasn't really in the market for. It was a sell and trade. It was an upgrade for me. I was going to be able to get rid of my truck and get a nicer truck that suited my needs better for the same price, because it was a good deal. So I messaged that guy. It was 2 a.m. I'm like, I can't sleep all the time. I go on Facebook, whatever, go on Marketplace. That's how you get the deals. You can't sleep. Sleep is for the weak. So I messaged the guy. I'm like, I'll take it. When are you available? He says, I'm available Monday after 3. This is Sunday morning at like 2 a.m. I got to be the first person to message him because it was posted 40 minutes ago, 2 a.m. on a Sunday. So I was like, all right, I'll be there Monday at 3 with the cash. And so then later on Sunday, I work till noon, I get some sleep, I wake up, and I pull it up just to look at it. And I notice it's marked sold. So I messaged the guy and I was like, hey, I said, I'm coming to buy this truck tomorrow. And he goes, oh, I've had over 45 people message me. You're coming from a long ways away, so I sold it. And I'm like, guy, I told you that I would come. I said, he goes, I sold it to the first person that messaged me. I said, I'm pretty sure that was probably me. And he goes, yeah, but you were coming from a long ways away, and I didn't know if you'd show up or not, so I sold it. So, I mean, there are frustrations involved in getting these marketplace deals. I would say maybe 50% of them come through.
So I think there's some do's and don'ts of Facebook Marketplace. Number one.
If you say something, honor it, man. Have your word be worth something.
Say you're going to sell it to someone.
Then honor it.
And if someone comes at you with higher cash,
Too bad.
Go back to
In
the
my
first
opinion.
one and say, hey, are you coming? Confirm. Don't just sell it to the next guy.
Right, and don't try to run that price up. I mean, this is how I would do it. You know, everyone's different, but to me, my word means something. So I don't sell much on Marketplace anymore because I've had so many people not show up. And like I said, my time's valuable. So I'll sit there and wait. I'll take it. I'll be there at this time, and I'm sitting there, nothing. Where you at? Message them.
So,
just ghost. They disappear and they just vaporize.
Facebook Marketplace rules. Don't ghost people.
Communicate.
If
Be a good communicator.
If you say you're going to show up.
We know when you read the message. It's there.
Yeah. What's the third one? Third lesson in Facebook Marketplace. Do's and don'ts.
I mean, just be prepared to have the worst day of your life.
Oh
no, that's about it. But so everything isn't always perfect on Facebook Marketplace, but I'm starving right now. I got to go eat before work. So thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed the show and have a great day.
Bye, guys.